Hi, this is Alexis. I'm here at the Axis booth with Adrian. How you doing, sir?
Good to catch up with you again.
Very good. You've got some great looking boards. You got the Liberty over there.
Yep, we'll talk you through the line. We'll start at the Liberty, which is our kind of price point board. This board hasn't actually changed from last year, but I'll tell you a bit of a story about it because it kind of relates to some of the other boards. This is a board we designed last year, and it's designed flat top, flat bottom, with a high volume thick rail in the middle, and it was designed to be a basic entry-level board that worked quite nice. And when it was finished and I ended up riding it, it rode like way too good, way better than,
way better than you thought.
Yeah, and I was trying to work out why, because I mean it's the same rocker and same outline as some of our other boards, but the main difference was the big thick rail, the high volume rail, and it got me to thinking about our original underground FLX from day one and the thick rail that had, and that board rode unreal. And then the year after that we had to start competing in the European market, and the European market had a step down narrow thin rail, and we ended up machining a board with a thin rail to compete with that, and pretty much all the companies have ended up doing that European driven market. So I had this idea that I could build one of our other boards with our thick rail on there again, and it would make the board stronger because it would load the deck better. It'd be a stronger deck. So this is the new Vanguard. Has the same base, same outline, same rocker exactly as last year, but the deck of the board is pretty much flat, and you end up with a super high volume rail. And I did a bunch of test boards, and there's 10 of them, and I laid them all on the bank and rode them all through, and this was the last board I tested. And when I rode this, I just was completely blown away. This here was the single biggest breakthrough in twin tip riding probably in 10 years for me. It's just amazing. And I was trying to work out, well, why? Yeah, and essentially it's like a surfboard rail. And if I compare this to last year's board with the thin rail, when you're riding in chop, the board sort of, it doesn't settle. It moves up and down. It's not stable.
Sticking on the top of the plane of the water.
It's kind of searching the whole time for somewhere to settle down. This one here, it just cuts so cleanly through the chop, and it's smooth, and bumpy, rough conditions go into a toe side carve, and it holds in smooth riding.
Is it because you think the rail sits a little farther in the water?
The rail works more like a surfboard rail. Gabby had some crazy idea, which might have some merit, and that it's the thick rail actually makes a hole in the water for the back of the board to track it. It's essentially more like a surfboard rail. Dramatically different to ride, and we've incorporated that in the Vanguard and the Limited from this year. Apart from the rail, the bottom rocker, everything else, the laminate, everything is exactly the same on those two boards, but the fatter rail, the high volume rail.
Well, let's not skip these boards behind you.
Yep, this is the Division. Division's got a cool new graphic from this year. Man, it looks good with a white light on it. This is essentially the same board as it was last year, just with this year's graphic. This was really popular, so we haven't bothered messing with this one too much. The Vanguard and the Limited have had a complete revamp. That kind of covers those boards. We'll skip down to this. This is the Vanguard Grom. It's a 115 board, and we worked with some young kids in Western Australia last year, and as like for 8-year-old kids, really little kids, and we've developed a small foot pad. Works really well for girls and kids, and it's a much smaller little board, and it's still got the same rail technology on it. I guess we should point out while we're here, our tandem board, 2 sets of straps. This is our 3rd year building a tandem board. The concept for this was from Tamatoa. There's quite a few links on our webpage to Tamatoa. Worth going and having a look at some of the videos he's made of some of his riding. He's done some crazy wave riding, taking people out that have never even kite surfed before, and he's got them in huge waves, hanging onto the bar and actually bottom turning and wave riding tandem, and he's got his hands out like this, just watching all go along. So great board for teaching people to kiteboard, because you're right there next to them and you can talk to them directly and explain,
what they're doing.
Yeah. So a great thing for taking people for a ride, but also for getting people into the sport. And we've got some light wind boards to show you. So this is our Ultra and Patrol. These are the same boards as last year. This is the full carbon. This is the glass and carbon version. These boards have a flatter rocker, and a less detailed base. There's not a huge amount of channeling on there. It's a double concave with a flat in the rail. The board gets up and planing really fast. It's a light wind board, but in saying that, we've tried to make it a board that's really fun to ride. So this 148, I ride this quite a bit in the summer when I can't get going on my limited. I'll ride that board, and it's a board that you can still freestyle on. It's not just a long board that you can go back and forwards in no wind. It's a fun, exciting ride. Now we're going to hand you over to Billy to talk about his wakeboard stuff. Cheers.
Hi, I'm here with Billy Parker at the Axis booth. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. About yourself?
Amazing looking boards this year. Let's talk about them.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, Adrian went well and beyond with the design and the construction of the boards this year, and also the graphics. Kept it pretty simple with like a matte black look, just so it had a clean look, and took the graphics from last year's board. The lion head, just blew it up and slapped it on there, and then come up with a real simple graphic for Alex's board and makes it look clean and nice, and I'm sure when it's in the sky and taking photos, it's going to look good. As far as the design of the board goes, there's actually a complete change on the board. We went with a huge rail on the side, PU sidewalls, but we went with a big rail tapering down to a narrow rail, and it's pretty custom, you know, with the freestyle boards nowadays. But this design is with the fat rail tapering down, does allow for a better ride. And like Adrian may have mentioned earlier, you know, coming from the Liberty, a pretty basic board that rides really good, that rail shape is giving it that ride where it sits nice, gets upwind, and doesn't have a lot of drag. The bottom shape we changed quite a bit. I don't know if you can see it with the angle and the lighting, but the center we concaved out, and then last year's model it was sticking out a bit more. And what this does is it helps the board sit out of the water, so it gets upwind a bit better. So the channels were narrowed down a bit more too, so it reduces drag, and it makes for a flatter deck when you're sitting on the water and on the rails. It sits much better the way he's got the concave built in the middle. And plus, if you're at the park or if you're sliding rails or anything, you know, with that center concave, it'll help sit on the rail nice, and it's fairly flat across the back. So stiff in the middle, and it's got a lot of flex. The biggest difference between the Trank and the Billy board is the size, and with the size it does change a bit of the flex. So Alex's board is a little bit longer, which gives it a little bit more flex in the tip. The profile, the bottom shape, the top coat, everything's pretty much the same. So, but the boards they're amazing, super strong. I'm still riding the same board that I got last year. I traveled all year with one board, went to everywhere I went riding with, and yeah, it's holding up well, and that's what I want. I want a board that is not only durable, but it has a lot of longevity, and you can put it on the water, ride it for a couple years, put it on the wall, and then pull it out in 10 more years and ride is what we're looking for. And I think Adrian does that well with his products. Durable, clean, simple, everlasting, hopefully.
Proven design.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. You know, we want people to be happy and not have to spend their hard-earned money constantly, you know, throughout the season to keep on the water. So hopefully you enjoy it. Go get you one of these, whichever one you prefer. There's a board for everybody in the range, and we want to see you out there rocking and having fun.
Now, for more information on all the sizes and all the technical data, where can they go?
Oh, you just go to axiskiteboarding.com and check it out.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you all. Cheers.